and we're going to start this project. So we will go to, we could go to new here, or we could go to new here. I'm going to recommend that you go up to the big R up in the corner. We're going to go to new project. We have some options on template, and we're going to use the architectural template. It should be the one it defaulted to. And it's going to be a new project, and it's going to be OK. So that will open up a project for us. And you've all probably done this before, but okay, down here in the lower corner, it's telling me that it's going to be drawn at 1/8 inch equals a foot. We typically draw floor plans at what scale? 1/4 inch equals a foot. So we will change that to 1/4 inch equals a foot. One of the first things I do is I go up and I'm going to change my line thickness to thin lines. Up on the top toolbar across the top here, you can click and find thin lines. That gives me a better view of the different layers of the line type. So we will, one of the first things we're going to do then is start the walls, so on the exterior walls. So we're going to go to walls, architectural walls. We're going to go find a wall type. So we're looking for exterior walls that meet those criteria that I mentioned earlier. And if we look in here, we may not find exactly what we want. So let's go back up here. I got exterior walls with brick. I have exterior walls with CMU. I have exterior walls, brick and metal studs. But I don't have any exterior wall that identified exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to take this one that says exterior brick on metal studs and start with that. And I'm going to go edit the type, and I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to say it's an exterior wood stud, and I'm just going to say with okay, so I'm just going to create a new one. I'm going to call it exterior wood stud with steel siding. I'm going to edit the type, and I have this common brick up here, so I'm going to delete that one. I have a thermal air layer. I'm going to delete that one. I don't have that. I am going to have a membrane, so I'll leave that one in. That'll be the like Tyvek or the house wrap that we're putting on the building. I do have a substrate, which is our wall sheathing, and it says it's plywood sheathing. So if I click here under that plywood sheathing, it comes up here. I can right click and duplicate that one, rename it, and call it OSB. Other than that, I'm not going to change anything about it. I'm just changing the name of it, so I'll say OK. So now it says OSB sheathing. I want my OSB sheathing to be 1/2 inch, so I'll change this to 1/2 inch. The structure is not going to be metal studs, it's going to be wood studs. So again, if I hit that arrow, I can go, and I should be able to find wood stud here. Well, if I can't find it, I'll have to rename it. So again, I would duplicate that. Rename that. it says steel here, I'm going to go down and I'm going to find wood, which is identified as cherry here. I'm going to so I'm going to change it to softwood. Okay, so our framing lumber is typically softwood, and the appearance I'm going to put in something like birch maybe. And then I'm done, and I'll say OK. And my structure is a 2x6, so that should really be, what, 5.5? On the inside I will have the membrane layer, that's the vapor barrier, has no thickness, and the interior finish will be gypsum board 1/2 inch. So I've done everything here, but I haven't got my steel siding on it yet. So I'm going to go up to the top here, and I'm going to insert a finish, and the finish is going to be, I'm going to take this deal here, I'm going to duplicate that one, I'm going to call this steel siding. It's going to be metal. I'll just change the steel appearance to and my steel siding is 1/2 inch thick, I said, right? Okay, so now I'm going to draw those lines, or those walls, excuse me, and we are going to have an unconstrained height of 8 foot 1 1/8. Going to be on level 1, the base offset is going to be 0. We're going to draw this. Before I do that, I want to go back and edit this type one more time. I want to go in here. I want to make sure that my sheathing is in my core and not outside of my core. Okay, so the core of my wall is going to include the stud and the wall sheathing. So I'm going to take this sheathing material and move it down into the core. So now the outside edge of my core is the outside of my sheathing. Say OK. And then when I start drawing these walls, I'm going to draw those from the core face exterior. So I'm starting my wall with the point of starting being the outside face of the sheathing. So I would just start over here, and I'm going to draw my wall out. And my house was 38 feet long, right? So I'll type in 38. And I'm going to come down 24. I could find it here, or I could type it in. I'll go back till it lines up and go back up. Now, I did everything right, and I changed my detail level down here in the toolbar on the bottom. If we change that to fine detail, I should be able to see the siding, the sheathing, the stud, and the sheetrock. And if I go to throw a dimension on here, I should be dimensioning to the sheathing, not the center of the wall, but the sheathing. So if I hit the tab, I can find that. And if I put this in right, from outside of sheathing to outside of sheathing, should be 38 feet. And it is. Okay. So a quick check of my dimensioning. Go from the outside of my sheathing. And that should be 24. Okay, if I look at it from an isometric view, my siding should have shown up, but it hasn't here. I'll have to see why that isn't showing up. So at the structure, let's go look at the siding that I put on there. So now I want you to create the garage walls, and the garage walls are going to be the same height. They're going to be, everything's going to be the same about them, but the core of the wall is going to be a 2x4. So we need to create a new wall type. So we will go to the wall command again, architectural wall. It's going to default to the last one we created. I'm going to go edit the type. I'm going to duplicate, exterior stud with steel siding, and I'm probably just going to go dash garage. And there's different ways you could name this, of course. You could have started out with 2x6 stud and 2x4 stud. We'll edit the type. We'll change the stud thickness to 3.5. and say OK. And now I'm going to be the same height, exterior face of the core. I'm going to start here. I'm going to come out 24 feet. Come down 22 feet. Okay, now we have our garage on there. Let's go back to this now, and let's take a look at this wall right here. And this is a wall that goes between the house and the garage, and it should not have siding inside the garage. So let's take and pull this line, this end of the wall, back to this location then, right? Okay, so now we have to put a different wall in between there. So we're going to go to a wall. We're going to see if we have a 2x6 wall with sheetrock on it here. Here we have an interior partition, 1 hour rated wall. Okay, if we go to edit the type of that wall, we can see that that wall has on the exterior side, it has 5/8 inch sheetrock. In the core, it's a 3 5/8 inch metal stud. On the interior, it has 2 layers of sheetrock. Well, I don't want all that, so on my exterior side, I do want the 5/8 inch sheetrock. On the structure, I want that not to be a metal stud. I want it to be a wood stud. So now I should have wood stud in here. Because I created it. Okay. and then it should be a 3.5. It should be a 5.5 inch. Am I doing this right, or have I made a mistake here? I should have duplicated this probably, right? I maybe don't want to keep it the way it was. So I'm going to just cancel that and go back here. The first thing I should have done here was I should go and duplicate this one so I don't lose that type. Interior 5.5 inch garage separation. Say okay. Rename that. I want to get that 2 off the end. And then I'll go and make the changes. Okay, I want the 5/8 sheetrock. I want to change this to the wood stud layer. I want to change this to 5.5. I'm going to have 1 layer of 5/8 gypsum board, so I want to actually, in this case, I want to take this one and I want to change it. Well, this is on the inside of my wall, so I want to put a layer of vapor barrier in there, right? So I want to put a membrane layer in there. And I'm going to change that to a vapor barrier. And that will have 0 thickness. And then I will have my layer of, on the inside, I can get by with 1/2 inch sheetrock in residential. Okay, so now I have 5/8 gypsum board on the garage side. I have the 2x6 stud. I have the vapor barrier on the inside, and then the sheetrock. We're going to go from the exterior face to the core, and I should be able to click here and bring that down here. Now those aren't lining up quite correctly, so I should be able to just go click on the align tool and align this to this. Move that over. This one I'll probably pull back later. Okay. Something's happening right there. I'll have to figure that out.